Welcome to another episode of the Reboot Chronicles, a no-holds-barred forum with global leaders, authors, entrepreneurs, and CEOs about how organizations stay focused on growth and innovation in unprecedented times. I'm your host, Dean Tobias, coming to you live from Revive's North American headquarters in Chicago, and we would like to thank you for joining us from around the globe today. I'd like to welcome an entrepreneur, lawyer, and blockchain enthusiast, Franziska Leonhardt. From Berlin today, she's the co-founder of AVE EDAM. It's an award-winning beauty tech brand based in Germany, of course, that has developed a really cool personalized skincare system that we're going to talk about. Fran, it's good to see you there. Haven't seen you since we met up in London a while back. How are things in Berlin?
Thank you so much for having me. They're good. Corona's picking up a little bit, unfortunately, but we're still working at the headquarters, and hopefully we'll get this through.
Yeah, looks like you got a nice little office there. So AVE and EDAM, I assume that's a play on Adam and Eve, or whatever. How did you come up with that? Maybe give us a little story of the genesis and where you are. I mean, you're part of the indie brand series that we do a lot on the Reboot Chronicles, kind of highlighting entrepreneurs around the world in various industries. So yours is a good story. Maybe fill us in on how you got started and where you are now.
Sure. So AVE EDAM was started in 2018. We personalize skincare products. We're based in Berlin, Germany. And when we came up with the name, actually, we were playing on, of course, Adam and Eve, and we thought, it's a nice connotation that you start off something completely new. So personalization of beauty products certainly is a trend, but not many have started. So we thought it's like beauty tech 2.0.
Yeah, and you have a co-founder. You two started the company to solve a problem, or what? How did you get the idea going?
Yeah, so 2017, I did a lot of roles in my corporate previous life, and 2017 I was moving with my daughter to Silicon Valley. We were located there for 4 or 5 months, and I met my co-founder there. He's a professor for computer science, researching at Stanford at the time. And, we asked ourselves, why is muesli being personalized, but there's no solution yet for your biggest organ, which is skin. And so, experiencing myself a lot of travel, a kid, a pregnancy, so many changing life phases, we were looking into factors that actually influence and change skincare. And with my co-founder, who's deeply into modeling and algorithmic modeling, computer simulations, we were thinking of how to approach this topic from a very technical, algorithmic angle. Right.
So whenever personalization comes up, and you can explain what you guys actually do, a couple different surveys have been out lately. About over 70% of consumers say they favor personalization, like in health, beauty, and wellness products. Even Revive, we have a health and beauty index that's been up anywhere from 200 to 400% during 2020, very pandemic related, of course, but the emphasis on skincare first spiked versus cosmetics and other things. And now the emphasis is more on what are the things that I should actually have for my body, both inside maybe in terms of supplements and pills and food, but also topicals and customization of those. Is everything kind of, do you think, moving to personalization? Because I don't see the big brands doing it that much. It seems like a hard thing to scale.
Looking at the history of personalization, many years ago, we all started off by having products developed from the pharmacy, and, only very little people were able to actually afford that or could go see a doctor. And, then during industrialization, it was taken to mass markets, by giving everybody basically 4 categories of products, right?
All right.
So I think there's going to be a trend going back to this, something really made for you, but obviously it has to happen at affordable costs. So I'm convinced that, personalization will be the standard for the future. However, as mass production is much cheaper and much more accessible, and not many people have yet seen the need to really, dig deeper into this. Although the consumer wishes for it, it's not yet translated into product. So I do think there's going to be a lot of things we see on this in the future, not only in cosmetics, but other categories as well. But we have to overcome the border of it being too expensive or too inaccessible, So I think that's what we're working on, making it more affordable and more sustainable with the help of technology.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in other spaces too, like supplements. And it's funny you mentioned pharmacies, because if back in the day, that was the old marble thing where they would grind up. I mean, Walgreens, in the U.S., their logo still is that bowl is kind of there, that grounded kind of in science and pharmaceutical, but more importantly, custom. And so what kind of, can you just tell us what the process is like? So we go to your website. I see, just looking at it here, that I've got to go through kind of a little bit of a engagement with you so you can learn about me, right?
Yes. So, I mean, right now what we do is you come to the website. We have a questionnaire that will take you through different parts of your life that we think is relevant for the right skincare. Then we also offer an optional face scan, which we collaborate together with Reboot on it. I think, for us as a startup, we're always trying to incorporate the best in every, technology, and we can't build everything ourselves. So we partnered in this case with Reboot, and they scan the face and give about 80 or more parameters that we can then, translate into data as well. In Europe, I think in general, there's still some hesitation on using face scan technologies, even though, we obviously cohere with the data protection.
Sure.
So we don't, not everybody is doing that. And we keep it optional to allow everybody the benefits of going through the test. And then when you go through the test, you will be shown the results of the test, which indicates what's the right ingredient and the right mixture for your lifestyle, your nutrition, and your type of skin. Mm-hmm.
So that's fascinating, because I'll give you an example. So you mentioned Revive. So Revive powers lots of different retailers and brands. And so let's take one like here in Chicago. Ulta Beauty's headquartered here, large retailer. So when you go through that process there, the selfie and the questionnaire, they then use that data to recommend products out of maybe 1,000 SKUs, as has been well documented in the industry. Beauty is kind of a jungle. It's just overwhelming when you stand at the shelves and look, depending on the store that you're in, almost any store. It's too many choices. So anyway, they use technology to recommend off-the-shelf products. You use technology to actually make something custom for me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the next step, right? So, you can either match on what's already there, or you can use algorithms to create something new. So, we've looked into what's really great about the knowledge in different disciplines like dermatology or cosmetology or environmental factors that play a role, and we kind of use our technology to in the back end to engineer a product that will give you the best for your skin in every situation you're in.
And what's been the I know it's still early days for you, but what's been the consumer reaction to, because you're eliminating choice, really. You're just telling me this is for you, versus, the typical process is we'll take them from 100 potential products they could use for whatever and narrow it down to 10, but they're still choosing. With you, it's like, here, I've made the choice for you. Am I getting it right?
I mean, there's 2 points to it. First of all, there's a lot of psychological studies that show that, basically people don't like too much choice. So I think, having the experience of standing in front of this huge shelves filled with skincare from top to bottom is so overwhelming. And I mean, in most of the pharmacies, at least or drugstores in Germany, there's also not much, help. Maybe at the premium or more luxury retails, you have personnel that can advise you. But if you're in a pharmacy and you're just looking for a cream, you're completely lost. So I think this is point one. So I think, we have so many choices to make in life. I would prefer to have an expert telling me what's right for me rather than, having to go through all the research and all the trial and error myself. Number two, you've asked for, customer retention or happiness factor. And so far we have 94.7% of our customers recommending to friends and family to use us. So I think word of mouth is, what we have been relying on. We're a small company. We were for large part self-financed. So I think word of mouth is your greatest power as a small startup.
So speaking of that, scaling, can we kind of move into that? How are you doing that? Where are you available? So most people would say, what's your distribution strategy? That sounds a little too serious, but give us an idea what your rollout's been looking like.
So far we've been, starting in Germany, rolling out to coverage all over Europe. And I think for us right now, COVID was in a way, a very disturbing, but also very catalyzing time for people buying beauty products online. So I think, so far the online strategy is our strategy. And I think it's beneficial because you're able to really have a dialogue with your consumers on a one-on-one daily basis. And, I even take the time sometimes at night and answer all my customer emails myself. Been asked before if I'm an Indian bot, which I'm not. If I reply at 2 a.m. at night, but it's just you have the chance to really learn so much if you do this part yourself. I do think we've been the winner of the Douglas Innovation Challenge. So I do think, we're going to look into some further corporations. But so far, we're focusing on rolling out the online strategy.
So you've been what we call a DTC, direct to consumer play so far.
Right.
And sounds like the feedback's been good. The reviews are good, obviously. That's how we found you. So let's just talk about the challenges. We have thousands of corporate people, but thousands of entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, indie brands, Silicon Valley people that listen to the program. So what's been your biggest eye-opening challenge? You've been at this for 3 years now, I think. Probably started it in your mind a year or so before that. Well, I think I envisioned one day you were sitting in a drugstore in the beauty jungle aisle and just had some kind of an epiphany about how you should attack this. But what's been your biggest challenge along the way here?
First of all, I think as an entrepreneur, you get up and you want to solve challenges, right? So I think so far nothing that would have made me quit. I really love what I'm doing. I do think, or if I could wish for something, it would be that we accept that the entrepreneurship role is a little bit more diverse. So as a mom of a 6-year-old child and as a female in general, I did see that fundraising, there's been a lot of inappropriate comments about how to cover the child and if I have a nanny, how I manage all the timing input. So I think raising a business while raising a child as a single parent is a challenge in itself. And I wish, it would have been accepted or let's say appreciated more by investors than them seeing this as, a problem to overcome or to support or fund my business.
Yeah, depending on what country and culture you're in, that's still an issue. In the States, especially Chicago, we have a great deal of female entrepreneur programs, a WISTEM program, Women in STEM, a lot of coaching and mentoring going on. So if anything, it's actually flipped, I think, where they're getting more attention, more funding, more whatever they want. And some of them just want equal playing field. Not to be.
Exactly. I think diversity is not limited to female, male, or whatever it is. It goes much, much further. And I just wish that, diversity was lived a bit more, let's say in Germany or Europe.
Yeah.
the investors we found and that we've partnered with are really, really great and coming from the States. So it's kind of ironic that for a European startup based in Germany, you'll find your investors in the US. So I wish that more of the European investors would be as brave and as diverse as American investors have been to us.
Yeah, good point. I mean, I think you're in the right market, right place, right time. I have never seen so much funding interest, at least let's call it interest at that level, in things like health, beauty, wellness, everything from food to supplements to cosmetics, maybe not so much to skincare, but just healthy kind of, living of supporting products and services that do that. And many of those used to have much lower valuations. I'm on the board of a private equity firm that we're just investing in next gen food companies, and the valuations are really very substantial these days. Companies like Vital Farms that makes eggs with free range chickens, available through most of the grocery stores now in the States, just went public, and a lot of activity here. So maybe that's a good bridge into what are you seeing in terms of the trends, and how does your company kind of play into that? So personalization is one. It seems like you have one version of personalization. I always find that it means various different things in the sector that you're in. What other trends are you kind of hoping to ride on the next few years?
I mean, as you said, I think there is definitely a huge trend in all these health and well-being, I would call it, topics. And I mean, I do also see that people are just caring much more, not only about themselves, but also about the environment and about, others. So I feel that, we're going back to more sustainability. We're going back to, not wanting something at all costs, not caring what it means for me, for others, for the environment. So I think general topics like clean and vegan are definitely upcoming. I mean, when this starts like with replacement of the usual protein sources, yep, or whether that comes into some thought you spend on the use of microplastics or other ingredients. Could be, in your cosmetics, but also in other consumer goods. I think this is something where, we've been seeing a shift in mindset, I would say. But I think also Corona had been, showing people what it means to have your supply chain completely outsourced, or let's say globalized.
Right.
So from the beginning, we really paid a lot of thought on our sourcing, and for us in Corona, this really paid off. So I do think where we can, we produce and source locally or regionally, and only the next step would be within Europe. But this for us has been really a lifesaver. So I think also big trend will be, local or regionally sourced products that have been manufactured under fair conditions.
Yeah, good point. So we're seeing, just recently we've had all types of people from the sector on, CEOs of companies like Kypris and Algenist, and which is more algae based, Kypris more natural based, but natural products. I don't like the word clean, but more natural products, better ingredients, sustainability, the transparency around that. That's a lot to put on your plate when you're just trying to make some money and get a startup going.
Well, I mean, let's not get this wrong, right? It's not about being perfect. I think it's about taking the first step, and having this mind and having this envision. I would never think of myself or the company as perfect, but it's just when you start and you take a first step, just think about these things and keep them in mind, because I think it matters for the consumer. The consumer is getting more and more educated, and so should you as a provider of goods or a provider of services. You shouldn't do it for others to see, just for you.
Right, that makes sense. Fran, how does it work with your consumers? So, when you're doing like a review selfie, you're taking them through your questionnaire, that's some pretty intimate stuff. I mean, are you developing better relationships with them? Do you have therefore better, um, you know, um, what do we call it in the marketing industry? Retention of your customers, their repeat customers. I think you probably have are you a subscription model, for instance?
Yeah, we offer both. I mean, I think, when we started personalization in Germany, we were the first, and it's not let's say it wasn't, or it isn't still like very well understood or translated into what it means.
Yeah.
So I do think we didn't have a blueprint, so we've been trying out a lot of things, and I want people to buy the product because they love it, and they buy it again because they love it. So we actually have a really high retention rate, which I'm very proud of. And I think, this for me is an indicator of how well the product is perceived. And I mean, yeah, I think also important was, that we stay in touch with the customer by asking for a feedback for all our goods. So our algorithm isn't only working on the data input that, we get from your postal code or from the environmental factors or for the information you give me or that, the face scan provides, but also we are feeding it with the feedback of customers, and we're updating this feedback on a regular basis. So this trains the neural net, on the likings of the customer, because ultimately the customer decides what they put in their faces,
Right. So you're using AI behind the scenes as well as the interaction with the customer. So when they do a selfie and they do a skincare analysis, is that something you encourage them to keep doing? Because we found that some people do it once and drop off, but the ones that do it, whatever, once a month, once a week, a few times a year, better customer relationships, better data, better product targeting. Is that true?
Yeah, I think it's sometimes also showing that the customer simply loves and engage with the service, and that obviously means, like it's like chicken and egg. It means that they just kind of love the product, and if they love the product, they're going to keep using the service. So, I mean, for us, what we really wanted was to create a better product that keeps adapting to things. If there's new research, if there's new input, to kind of put this into a translation for the product. And I think this is what we've tried to establish, like a circle of R&D to product to market to customer back to R&D.
Right. And if you get out your crystal ball, so we've talked a little bit about the trends, but what?
I wish.
Yeah, this is a black one here. I'm pretending my microphone's a crystal ball. No, not where the industry is going. Just where do you want to be? As a CEO entrepreneur, 3 to 5 years from now, what's your vision for what we're going to do here?
I mean, to me, the overall thought, like if we, let's say if we talk about the big picture, I think, the cosmetics industry in particular, but, you can actually spin this to consumer goods, has been, a lot of knowledge in expert hands in silos. So, most people have not been, able to access this knowledge or to have the benefits of it. So, my wish would be that we are able to kind of help to break these silos and to democratize knowledge from the industry's experts and the dermatologist experts and all these experts into going to a product for the customer that makes him access this knowledge. And basically the democratization of knowledge would be my biggest achievement if I can do that in 5 years.
Yeah, that's and it's already happening. You've got technology partners like Revive and others that are helping you, because what we all want is personal attention. And I would love for you to tell me exactly what I should be using. But you and I can have that conversation. That doesn't scale. It doesn't scale to, millions and hundreds of millions of people in different countries and regions. So therefore, technology now, we're at a perfect storm. regardless of
exactly.
the industry. It doesn't matter what the industry is, but you take AI and haptics and visual and
Yes,
just all the things you can put together in terms of data, and then machine learning, which means it gets smarter and smarter. So 5 years
exactly.
from now, your algorithms in 5 years from now are going to be off the charts. So
Yeah.
I see that as that's a great way to scale.
Sorry, my internet was a little bit low, so I didn't hear you at the to the end. If you break this down, like
Yeah.
what you're saying is the absolute truth of what I see happening all over the globe. And I mean, obviously, we've come to the fact accepting that our mobile is making knowledge accessible to us at any given minute. But there's so many products out there where the thought that you just created has not been really accepted. And I mean, there's so many factors influencing us as an individual, be it, the environment, sun, pollution, air pollution, picking up, water hardness. I can name you so many factors, or your nutrition, your intake, your hormonal level. There's so much information, and nobody's looking into the correlations between, these pieces of information and bringing it all together. And I think this is something phenomenal, to know about yourself as an individual, what's perfect for you.
Yeah, and that's the shift we're seeing in technology is like we are moving from being, basically these devices are like running our lives versus actually just helping us live our lives. So we're still at the point where this is a portal into something that's still controlling you. You have to do it the way your smartphone wants to do it. And in the future, it's not going to be like that. It will be doing things for you. So you're doing some of that now. One of the things I've noticed, I'm just curious your take on this is, so we've done all that. We're making things more digital across industries, but then there's also this fact that sometimes it makes it less personal. So it's funny, we're calling it, personalization, but it's less personal, it's less intimate, it's less, you're still, like you said, you're talking to a bot. Maybe you're not, you don't really know, but it seems like you might be overcoming that challenge a little bit. You're still trying to keep it personalized digitally, but actually personal in terms of one-to-one kind of interaction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think there's been a lot of buzz on this Netflix documentation, The Social Dilemma. I think for me.
I haven't watched it yet, but it's
Oh, okay. I won't
I'm gonna
spoil
need a
it.
big glass of wine for that one.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. Like, we keep seeing negative side of things, positive side of things, but in the end, personalization doesn't stop with the product. It is the entire approach. How do
Right.
you apply it? Where is it going to come from? How's it sourced? I think for me, if I have to give a picture, is the vertical integration of an entire chain. So personalization to me isn't about trillions or endless possibilities of combinations. It's about just the one for you. What's the one for you? And what does it mean for you? How does it translate? Because it can be a lot of things, right? It can be something else if you're pregnant versus you going through menopause versus a very stressed male having a child, having to cater for it. There's so many factors, and
Yeah.
I think ultimately we have to tell a story about what it means to you and why it touches you.
Yeah, and we're seeing that in healthcare too, more holistic.
Yeah.
I mean, just having conversations, which doctors have never had time to do before. So part of the pandemic has actually accelerated that, things like telehealth and other things. And just because you're using something, a device for a skincare analysis doesn't mean the way we've designed systems is you can still actually use that through a consultant or a helper or a salesperson, anybody. So I can still have that overlay because,
Yeah,
people love getting personal advice,
absolutely. I
and
mean,
and it makes the referrals go up too. Anyway,
yeah,
I didn't
so
mean to answer your questions there, but I find it fascinating that you're at the right pivotal point. You just need to get to scale. And Fran, really want to thank you for having me on the program. Any parting comments for the aspiring entrepreneurs out here in Chicago and Silicon Valley and India and China, just all over the world, thinking I want to do what she's doing?
yeah, I mean, I think don't give up. and never let a corona or anything else stop you. If you have a vision and you have something that you get up for every morning, keep doing it. And I think the most important thing is be passionate, have grit, have courage, and keep going. Never the right and never the wrong time to start something.
I love it. You've been listening to Franziska Leonhardt from Berlin. She is the CEO of AVE EDAM. Check them out on the web. It's good having you. See you soon, I hope.
Thank you.
Cheers.